The vast expanse of space stretched out before the Galactic Confederation's Seventh Fleet, a dazzling array of sleek, crystalline ships that sparkled like celestial diamonds against the backdrop of distant stars. At the helm of the flagship, Eternal Radiance, Admiral Zixtor stood tall, his four arms crossed in a display of smug superiority. His iridescent scales shimmered under the soft blue light of the bridge, matching the confident gleam in his multifaceted eyes. Status report. Zixtor's melodious voice trilled, a sound that always reminded his crew of wind chimes in a gentle breeze. First Officer Quixel, a willowy being with translucent skin, glided forward. Admiral, long-range scanners have detected an anomaly at the edge of the Vorlath asteroid belt. It appears to be a ship. Zixtor's antennae twitched with interest. Interesting. Not one of ours, I presume. No, sir. It doesn't match any known Confederation designs. In fact, it doesn't match any designs in our database. A ripple of excitement passed through the bridge crew. The Seventh Fleet had been tasked with charting this sector of space, seeking new civilizations to bring into the embrace of the Galactic Confederation. It seemed they might have struck gold. On screen, Zixtor commanded, his voice tinged with anticipation. The main view screen flickered to life, zooming in on a small, boxy vessel that seemed to float aimlessly at the edge of the asteroid field. Its hull was a patchwork of dull grays and browns, with no apparent aesthetics in its design. Compared to the graceful, organic lines of the Confederation ships, it looked like a child's building block floating in space. Laughter erupted across the bridge. Even Zixtor couldn't contain his amusement, a series of high-pitched chirps escaping him. By the cosmic egg, he chortled. What manner of spacefaring garbage scow is that? Quixel consulted his datapad, his brow furrowed in concentration. Preliminary scans indicate it's powered by chemical rockets and nuclear fission. The disbelief in his voice was palpable. The hull is composed primarily of titanium alloys, and is that steel? How quaint. Admiral Zixtor's laughter redoubled. Surely you jest, Quixel. No spacefaring race would be foolish enough to venture beyond their solar system with such primitive technology. As the bridge crew continued to trade jokes at the strange ship's expense, a junior communications officer suddenly perked up. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the vessel. Audio only. Zixtor waved a hand dismissively. Very well, let's hear what these cosmic jesters have to say. The bridge fell silent as a crisp, confident voice filled the air. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human spaceship Trickster. We come in peace and seek friendship with all sentient beings. Please identify yourselves. For a moment, the bridge was so quiet you could hear a photon drop. Then, once again, laughter erupted. Human? What kind of name is that for a species? Zixtor mused, his voice dripping with condescension. Quixel, compose a response. Let's educate these humans on their place in the universe. Quixel's fingers danced over his console, translating the Admiral's words into a universal format. Primitives, the message began. You find yourselves in the presence of the Seventh Fleet of the Galactic Confederation. Your vessel is woefully inadequate for deep space travel, and your continued existence is now at our mercy. Surrender your ship for study, and we may consider granting you the honor of serving as laboratory specimens rather than target practice for our gunners. Admiral Zixtor nodded approvingly. Send it, and prepare tractor beams. Let's reel in our little space minnow. As the message was transmitted, the bridge crew watched the view screen with anticipation, expecting to see signs of panic or submission from the primitive craft. Instead, the HS Trickster remained stationary, showing no reaction at all. No response, Admiral, the communications officer reported after a few moments. Zixtor's amusement began to fade, replaced by a touch of irritation. These humans dare to ignore us. Fine, let's give them a demonstration of real power. Weapons control, prepare a low-yield plasma burst. just enough to scorch their hull and show them we mean business. As the weapons officer acknowledged the command, none of the Confederation crew noticed the subtle shimmer that passed across the trickster's hull, nor the faint smile that played across Captain Chen's lips as she prepared to give these overconfident aliens a lesson they'd never forget. The bridge of the ASS Trickster hummed with quiet efficiency, a stark contrast to the chaos of laughter echoing through the alien flagship. Captain Sarah Chen, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp eyes and a mischievous grin, leaned back in her command chair, fingers steepled beneath her chin. "Well, folks," she addressed her crew, "it seems we've stumbled into a cosmic comedy club. Anyone care to place bets on how long it takes these jokers to realize they're the punchline?" Her XO, Commander Raj Patel, suppressed a chuckle. 10 credits say they fire a warning shot within the next 5 minutes, Captain. "You're on," Chen replied, her grin widening. "Tactical. What's our status?" Lieutenant Maria Vasquez, the ship's tactical officer, responded without taking her eyes off her holographic display. "Stealth systems are functioning perfectly, Captain. Our real-time holographic projection is holding steady, and the asteroid camouflage for our actual position is in place. We're reading weapons charge up from the alien flagship." As if on cue, a brilliant beam of plasma erupted from the alien vessel, streaking towards the holographic projection of the trickster. It passed harmlessly through the image, continuing into space. "Looks like you owe me 10 credits, Raj," Chen quipped, turning to face the main view screen. "All right, let's give our new friends something to think about. Comms, prepare to transmit. Audio only." The captain cleared her throat, adopting a tone of exaggerated confusion. Excuse me, big scary alien fleet. We couldn't help but notice you seem to be having some trouble with your light show. If you're trying to impress us, you might want to check your batteries. They seem to be running a bit low." The bridge crew stifled their laughter as Chen continued, her voice dripping with mock sincerity. "Oh, and about that charming invitation to become your lab rats. We're flattered, really, but we'll have to take a rain check. You see, we humans have this quirky tradition called not being dissected by megalomaniacal space jellies. Hope you understand." As soon as the transmission ended, the trickster's bridge erupted in laughter. Even the typically stoic Lieutenant Vasquez cracked a smile. Commander Patel wiped a tear from his eye. "Captain, with all due respect, you might have just started an interstellar incident." Chen shrugged, her eyes twinkling. Tuesday's been pretty boring so far. Might as well leaven things up a bit." The mood sobered quickly as Vasquez called out, "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy spike from the alien fleet. Looks like they're charging up for a full-scale assault." "All right, people, fun time's over," Chen announced, her demeanor shifting instantly from jokester to seasoned commander. "Initiate Phase 2. Let's show these overconfident calamari what happens when you underestimate humanity." The holographic projection of the trickster flickered and vanished, leaving the alien fleet firing at empty space. Simultaneously, the real trickster, hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid, powered up its engines. "Helm, take us in," Chen ordered. "Thread the needle between those big crystals they call ships. Tactical, ready point defense systems, and prepare for debris deflection. We're about to give them a close-up they won't forget." The trickster shot out from its hiding place, its sleek, dark hull absorbing virtually all sensor scans. To the alien fleet, it would appear as if a piece of the asteroid had suddenly come to life. As they weaved through the stunned alien armada, Chen opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. Brace for extreme maneuvers and prepare for potential hostile action. Remember your training, trust your teammates, and let's show the galaxy why humanity isn't to be trifled with." Chen out. The trickster barrel rolled between two massive alien cruisers, its engines leaving a trail of blue fire in its wake. Alarms blared across the alien fleet as they scrambled to track the suddenly elusive human vessel. Back on the Eternal Radiance, Admiral Zixtor's smug confidence had evaporated, replaced by a mix of confusion and growing dread. As reports of the vanished human ship and the new, unidentified contact flooded in, he realized that perhaps, just perhaps, he had gravely underestimated these humans. And deep in the bowels of the trickster, its true weapon systems hummed to life, ready to teach the Galactic Confederation a lesson they'd never forget. The Vorlath asteroid belt stretched out before the trickster like a cosmic obstacle course. Chunks of rock and ice, ranging from the size of pebbles to small moons, drifted in a chaotic dance. For most ships, it would be a death trap. For the trickster and its crew, it was home field advantage. Captain Chen's voice rang out clear and steady. "Helm, initiate the Pebble Dash protocol. Tactical, ready our special party favors." Lieutenant Vasquez's fingers flew across her console. "Magnet mines armed and ready, Captain. Holographic decoys standing by." The trickster dove into the asteroid field, its hull seeming to ripple and shift as it adapted to the surrounding debris. Behind them, the alien fleet hesitated at the edge of the belt. On the bridge of the Eternal Radiance, Admiral Zixtor seethed with rage. "After them, you cowards. It's one primitively small ship against our entire fleet." Reluctantly, the alien vessels began to enter the asteroid field. Their large crystalline structures, while beautiful, were ill-suited for such tight maneuvering. Almost immediately, the sound of scraping metal and shattering crystal echoed through their comms. Back on the trickster, Chen allowed herself a small smile. Time to add some spice to their lives. Tactical, deploy decoys, and mag mines. From the aft of the trickster, dozens of small, spherical objects shot out, quickly attaching themselves to nearby asteroids. Simultaneously, holographic projections of the trickster sparked to life at various points throughout the field. The alien fleet's sensors lit up like a Christmas tree. Suddenly, instead of chasing one human ship, they were confronted with a dozen identical signatures, all weaving through the asteroid field at breakneck speeds. "What trickery is this?" Zixtor bellowed, his scales flushing a deep purple in frustration. "Find the real one and destroy it." As the alien ships scrambled to chase the phantom tricksters, they failed to notice the small, inconspicuous devices now attached to various asteroids in their path. As soon as an alien ship passed near one, it activated, generating a powerful magnetic field that pulled nearby asteroids towards the ship. Chaos ensued. Alien vessels, already struggling to navigate the field, now found themselves being pelted by magnetically accelerated space rocks. Shields flared and crystal hulls cracked under the onslaught. Chen watched the unfolding pandemonium on her tactical display. "Helm, plot a course to the Scissors Gap. Tactical, ready the rock slide maneuver." The trickster surged forward, diving deeper into the asteroid field. They approached a narrow passage between two massive asteroids, barely wide enough for the trickster to pass through. "Scissors Gap dead ahead, Captain," the helm officer reported, sweat beading on his brow. "It's going to be tight." Chen's grip tightened on her armrests. "Steady as she goes. Wait for my mark." The trickster streaked towards the gap, with several alien ships in hot pursuit, having finally distinguished the real ship from the decoys. "Almost there," Chen muttered, eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching asteroids. "Almost there. Now, tactical, rock slide." Lieutenant Vasquez slammed her palm on a large red button. Instantly, a series of precisely placed explosives detonated on the two asteroids forming the gap. Huge chunks of rock broke free, tumbling into the narrow passage just as the trickster shot through. The pursuing alien ships, too large and unwieldy to stop in time, plowed straight into the avalanche of space rock. Shields buckled, hulls crumpled, and several ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. As the trickster emerged on the other side of the gap, Shen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. "Damage report." "Minor scratches to the port hull, Captain," Vasquez reported. "Nothing our self-repair systems can't handle. Enemy fleet is in disarray. I count at least 6 ships destroyed. many more disabled. Chen nodded, her expression grim but determined. Good work, everyone. But don't celebrate yet. We've bloodied their nose, but a wounded animal is often the most dangerous. Helm, set course for the dark side. It's time we show these aliens what a real warship can do. As the trickster accelerated towards a shadowy region of the asteroid field, the remnants of the alien fleet regrouped. Admiral Zixtor, his pride wounded and his anger boiling over, prepared to throw everything he had at this insufferable human ship. The real battle, it seemed, was only just beginning. The trickster streaked through the shadows of the asteroid field's dark side, a region dense with light-absorbing minerals that played havoc with sensors. Captain Chen stood at her command console, a holographic representation of the battlefield floating before her. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension thrumming through the bridge. Commander Paddle responded promptly. "The alien fleet is regrouping, Captain. They're forming a search pattern, but the dark side is slowing them down considerably." Chen nodded, a glint in her eye. "Good. That buys us the time we need. Lieutenant Vasquez, begin the Trojan Horse Protocol." "Aye, Captain," Vasquez replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "Initiating Trojan Horse in 3, 2, 1. Deep within the trickster, hidden compartments began to open. The ship's outer hull seemed to ripple and expand, previously concealed modules sliding into place. What was once a small, seemingly insignificant vessel now grew to nearly twice its original size. Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Now let's find ourselves a nice, big asteroid, preferably one with a high metal content." The helm officer, Lieutenant Kira Chen, no relation to the captain, chimed in. "I think I've got just the one, ma'am. Asteroid XJ417, about 2 kilometers in diameter, heavy ferrous content." "Perfect," Captain Chen replied. "Take us in, nice and easy." The trickster, now significantly larger but still dwarfed by the massive space rock, maneuvered carefully towards the asteroid. As they approached, the ship extended specialized drilling apparatus, boring into the asteroid's surface. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Eternal Radiance, Admiral Zixtor was quickly losing patience. How hard can it be to find one primitive ship in this accursed rock field? He bellowed, his scales now a mottled mix of purple rage and sickly green frustration. A junior officer tentatively approached. "Admiral, we've detected an energy spike consistent with the human vessel. It appears to be inside one of the larger asteroids in the field." Zixtor's eyes narrowed. "Inside? Impossible. No ship that small could burrow into solid rock. It must be a malfunction in our sensors." He paused, considering. "Still, we can't take any chances. Set course for that asteroid. If we must, we'll blast it to cosmic dust to flush out our prey." Back aboard the trickster, now fully encased within the asteroid, Chen addressed her crew. "All right, people, this is it. We've poked the hornet's nest, and now we're about to kick it over. All hands to battle stations. Tactical, ready all weapon systems. Engineering, prepare for full power to shields and propulsion on my mark." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, the atmosphere charged with a mix of tension and excitement. They'd trained for this, but now it was time to put theory into practice. Vasquez's voice cut through the quiet hum of activity. "Captain, the alien fleet is approaching our position. They'll be in weapons range in approximately 2 minutes." Chen nodded, her face a mask of calm determination. "Right on schedule. Helm, plot a course directly through the heart of their formation. Tactical, target their flagship with our main cannon. Secondary weapons distributed among the support ships." The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness. On the tactical display, they watched as the alien ships moved into position, surrounding the asteroid that concealed the trickster. Admiral Zixtor's voice crackled over the open comm channel. "Attention, human vessel. Your pathetic attempts at evasion end here. Surrender now, or be obliterated along with your rocky hiding place." Captain Chen took a deep breath. then opened a channel of her own. "This is Captain Chen of the HSS Trickster. I'm afraid we must respectfully decline your generous offer. Instead, allow us to present a counter-proposal." She nodded to Vasquez, who pressed a series of commands into her console. Suddenly, the asteroid surrounding the Trickster began to crack and split, bright lights spilling from the fissures. "Now," Chen shouted, "full power to all systems." The asteroid exploded outward, revealing not the small ship the aliens had initially encountered, but a fully armed and armored human warship, its weapon systems already charging, its hull gleaming with advanced technology far beyond what the Galactic Confederation had assumed possible. As alarms blared across the alien fleet and panic spread through their ranks, Captain Chen allowed herself a fierce grin. "Let's show these folks why you should never judge a book by its cover, or a warship by its hologram." The Trickster surged forward, weapons hot, ready to teach the Galactic Confederation a lesson they'd never forget. The bridge of the Eternal Radiance erupted into chaos as the true form of the Trickster burst forth from its asteroid cocoon. Admiral Zixter's jaw dropped, his bravado evaporating like mist under a hot sun. "Impossible," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the blaring alarms. "How could we have been so wrong?" On the Trickster's bridge, Captain Chen's voice rang out clear and confident. "Target the flagship's propulsion systems. Let's clip their wings." Lieutenant Vasquez's fingers flew across her tactical console. "Targeting solution locked, Captain. Gravitic lance charge and ready." Fire. A beam of concentrated gravitational force lanced out from the Trickster's bow, striking the Eternal Radiance with pinpoint accuracy. The alien flagship's crystal-like hull cracked under the intense gravitational stress, its engines sputtering and dying. Admiral Zixter clung to his command chair as his ship shuddered violently. "Return fire. All ships, concentrate your attacks on that human monstrosity." The alien fleet responded, a dazzling array of energy weapons converging on the Trickster. But as the beams struck, they seemed to bend and warp, most missing the human ship entirely. On the Trickster, Commander Patel reported with a hint of excitement in his voice, "Gravitational deflector shields holding steady, Captain. Their weapons are barely tickling us." Chen nodded, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. "Good. Tactical, switch to wide-spectrum defense protocol. Let's show them why humanity doesn't put all its eggs in one basket." As the alien fleet continued its barrage, the Trickster's hull began to shift and change. Sections rotated, revealing new weapon ports and defense systems. Each time the aliens adjusted their attack strategy, the Trickster adapted, always one step ahead. Plasma beams were absorbed by electromagnetic sinks, only to be redirected back at the attackers. Missile barrages found themselves caught in localized time dilation fields, slowing to a crawl before harmlessly detonating. Tractor beams were met with repulsor fields that sent alien ships tumbling out of formation. Admiral Zixter watched in growing horror as his fleet, pride of the Galactic Confederation, was systematically dismantled by a single human vessel. Ships that had conquered entire star systems were now little more than drifting hulks. "How?" he muttered, his earlier arrogance replaced by dawning fear. "How can they have this level of technology? It shouldn't be possible." On the Trickster, Captain Chen allowed herself a small, grim smile. "Tactical, status report on the enemy fleet." Vasquez responded promptly. 60% of enemy ships disabled or destroyed, Captain. The remainder are falling back, attempting to regroup around the flagship." Chen nodded. "Good. Helm, plot an intercept course. Let's not give them time to catch their breath." As the Trickster moved to engage the remnants of the alien fleet, Chen opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. You've all performed admirably, but our job isn't finished. Remember, our goal isn't to destroy, but to demonstrate. These aliens thought to make specimens of us. Instead, we'll give them a lesson they'll never forget." The Trickster surged forward, its adaptive hull reconfiguring once more. This time, Instead of weapons, it revealed an array of sensors and communication equipment. Tactical. Initiate the Babel protocol. Chen commanded. Let's see what makes these would-be conquerors tick. A wave of invisible energy washed over the alien fleet. Within moments, the trickster's computers were flooded with information. Technical specifications, cultural databases, tactical doctrines, and more. Data stream coming in now, Captain Paddle reported, his eyes wide as he scanned the incoming information. It's incredible. Their entire civilization laid bare. Chen's expression remained stern, but there was a glint of satisfaction in her eyes. Send a tight beam transmission to the flagship. Text only. She dictated the message slowly, ensuring every word carried weight. Admiral Zixtor, you came here seeking to study a primitive species. Instead, you've been outmaneuvered, outfought, and now understood more thoroughly than you can imagine. We could destroy your remaining ships with ease, but that's not our way. Instead, we offer you this chance. Retreat and carry word to your confederation. Humanity is not to be trifled with, but neither are we your enemy. Should you wish for peaceful contact, we will welcome it. Should you return with hostile intent, know that what you've seen today is but a fraction of our capabilities. The choice is yours. As the message was transmitted, Chen sat back in her command chair, watching the alien fleet on the main viewer. The next move would be theirs, but regardless of their choice, the galaxy had just changed irrevocably. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had no intention of playing a bit part. Admiral Zixtor's multifaceted eyes darted frantically across the tactical displays of the Eternal Radiance's bridge. His once mighty fleet lay in ruins, with a handful of operational ships clustering protectively around his crippled flagship. The human vessel, the trickster, loomed before them, an impenetrable monolith of technological superiority. This cannot be happening, Zixtor muttered, his scales shifting to a sickly pale hue. We are the Galactic Confederation. We do not bow to primitives. With trembling appendages, he activated the long-range communication array. This is Admiral Zixtor of the 7th Fleet. We are under attack by a previously unknown species of extreme hostility and technological advancement, requesting immediate reinforcements from all available sectors. I repeat, this is a priority one. His message was cut short as the ship's communication officer interrupted, panic evident in their voice. Admiral, we're detecting multiple spatial rifts opening around us. Space itself seemed to tear open, swirling vortexes of energy coalescing into stable wormholes. From these cosmic gateways poured forth a stream of Confederation warships, their crystalline hulls gleaming with deadly intent. A triumphant grin spread across Zixtor's face. Ha! See, humans. This is the true might of the Galactic Confederation. Your moment of victory was short-lived indeed. Aboard the trickster, the mood remained calm despite the sudden arrival of enemy reinforcements. Captain Chen surveyed the tactical hologram, her expression unreadable. Well, she mused, it seems our new friends didn't appreciate our hospitality. Tactical, what are we looking at? Lieutenant Vasquez's fingers danced across her console as she analyzed the incoming data. I count at least 300 new hostile contacts, Captain. Multiple ship classes, including several dreadnoughts. They're forming a spherical formation around us. Chen nodded, seemingly unfazed by the overwhelming odds. I see. Well, I suppose it's time we even the playing field. Commander Patel, if you would be so kind as to wake our little friends. Patel grinned, inputting a complex series of commands into his station. With pleasure, Captain. Initiating the Hive Protocol. The exterior of the trickster began to shift once more, but this time, instead of revealing new weapon systems, thousands of tiny ports opened across its hull. From these openings streamed a cloud of what at first appeared to be glittering dust. As the cloud expanded, however, it became clear that each mote of dust was in fact a highly advanced microsatellite. Millions of these tiny machines swarmed out from the trickster, quickly forming a vast, shimmering sphere that encapsulated both the human ship and the entire enemy fleet. On the bridge of the Eternal Radiance, panic set in as sensors were overwhelmed by the sheer number of new contacts. "What sorcery is this?" Zixtor bellowed, his earlier confidence evaporating. "How can one ship deploy so many autonomous units?" The answer came swiftly and terrifyingly. As the Confederation ships opened fire, the swarm of micro-satellites sprang into action. Some coalesced into impenetrable energy shields, absorbing the incoming fire. Others transformed into miniature fighters, darting between the massive alien ships with impossible agility, striking with pinpoint precision at vulnerable systems. Still more of the swarm formed into ethereal tendrils, reaching out to envelop entire enemy vessels. Ships caught in their grasp found their systems shutting down, their crews helpless as the micro-machines infiltrated every system. Back on the Trickster, Chen watched the unfolding battle with grim satisfaction. "Status report, tactical." Vasquez's voice was tinged with awe as she responded. "The Hive is performing beyond all expectations, Captain. Enemy fleet effectiveness is down by 78% and dropping rapidly. We're receiving surrender signals from multiple ships." Chen nodded, her expression serious. "Acknowledge the surrenders. Instruct the Hive to focus on disabling, not destroying. We're here to send a message, not commit genocide." She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to the enemy flagship. It's time, Admiral Zixtor, and I had a little chat about the future of galactic politics." As the comm channel crackled to life, Chen stood tall, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's potential and the responsibility that came with it. "Admiral Zixtor, I believe we were discussing the terms of your surrender. Shall we continue that conversation, or do you require further demonstration of why underestimating humanity was the gravest mistake your Confederation has ever made?" The stunned silence from the other end of the communication spoke volumes. The galaxy as the Confederation knew it had changed forever, and humanity was here to stay. Admiral Zixtor's pride, battered but not yet broken, flared once more as he heard Captain Chen's voice. His scales flushed a deep crimson, a sign of both rage and determination in his species. "You dare," he hissed, his voice trembling with barely contained fury. "You dare to dictate terms to the Galactic Confederation. We have ruled the stars for millennia while your kind was still learning to make fire." On the Trickster's bridge, Chen's expression remained impassive as she listened to the alien admiral's tirade. When Zixtor finally paused for breath, she spoke, her voice calm but laden with authority. "Admiral, your history lesson is fascinating, but irrelevant. The past is not the present, and it certainly isn't the future. I'll ask one last time. Surrender or face the consequences." Zixtor's response was to cut the communication channel. On the Eternal Radiance's bridge, he turned to his weapons officer, desperation clear in his eyes. "Divert all power to the main cannon, even life support if you have to. We'll show these upstart humans the true might of a Confederation flagship." Back on the Trickster, Vasquez reported, "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the enemy flagship. It looks like they're preparing to fire their primary weapon." Chen nodded, a glint of something almost like disappointment in her eyes. "So be it. Commander Patel, initiate the Phantom Leap." Patel's fingers flew across his console. "Phantom Leap initiated, Captain. Ready on your mark." The Eternal Radiance's hull began to glow, energy crackling along its crystalline surface as it prepared to unleash its ultimate weapon. Zixtor watched with manic glee, certain that this would turn the tide. "Fire!" he screamed, bringing his fist down on the arm of his command chair. A beam of pure, destructive energy lanced out from the Confederation flagship, seeming to strike the Trickster dead center. For a moment, Zixtor allowed himself to hope. But as the energy dissipated, the Trickster still floated there, completely unharmed. And then, to the utter disbelief of every alien watching, it flickered and vanished. "Impossible!" Zixtor shrieked. "Where did they go? Find them." His crew scrambled to comply, but before they could even begin a proper sensor sweep, alarms blared throughout the ship. The tactical officer's voice was high with panic as they reported, "Admiral, the human vessel, it's inside our ship." Indeed, the trickster had somehow phased into existence within the cavernous main hangar of the Eternal Radiance. As Confederation crews rushed to respond to this impossible incursion, the human ship's hull rippled once more. Hundreds of armored figures poured out, each encased in powered exoskeletons that made them more than a match for the unprepared alien defenders. At their head strode Captain Chen herself, her armor distinguishable by its command markings. Zixtor watched in growing horror as his internal security feeds showed the human boarders cutting through his ship's defenses like a hot knife through butter. Non-lethal weapons fired with unerring accuracy, incapacitating his crew with ruthless efficiency. Within minutes, the humans had fought their way to the bridge. The doors hissed open, and Captain Chen strode in, her helmet retracting to reveal her face. Her eyes locked with Zixtor's, and in that moment, the alien admiral knew that he had lost. "Admiral Zixtor," Chen said, her voice carrying easily across the now silent bridge. "I believe we were discussing the terms of your surrender." Zixtor slumped in his chair, the fight finally draining out of him. "How?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "How did you do this?" "Our sensors, our shields." Chen's expression softened slightly. "Quantum entanglement phasing," she explained. "We didn't move through space. We simply shifted our quantum state to match a designated point within your ship. Your sensors and shields were looking for an external threat, not an internal phase shift." She stepped forward, extending a hand. "Now, Admiral, let's talk about the future. Not just of our two species, but of the galaxy as a whole. The Confederation's era of unchallenged rule is over, but that doesn't mean we can't work together for a better tomorrow." As Zixtor stared at the offered hand, he realized that this was more than just a military defeat. It was the dawn of a new era in galactic history. With a mixture of resignation and dawning curiosity, he reached out and took Captain Chen's hand. The bridge of the Eternal Radiance fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of machinery as human and alien prepared to forge a new path forward, one that would reshape the very foundations of galactic civilization. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation's capital world, Centraxia Prime, buzzed with a cacophony of voices. Representatives from 1,000 worlds filled the tiered seating, their myriad forms a testament to the diversity of life in the galaxy. At the center of it all stood Admiral Zixtor, his scales a muted gray, the color of humility among his species. "Order. We will have order." The Archspeaker's resonant voice echoed through the chamber, gradually quieting the tumultuous assembly. Zixtor took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he was about to say. "Esteemed colleagues, I stand before you today, not as a conqueror returning in triumph, but as a harbinger of change. Our encounter with the species known as humans has irrevocably altered the balance of power in our galaxy." A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Zixtor continued, his voice growing stronger. "For too long, we have rested on the laurels of our past achievements. We believed ourselves to be the pinnacle of galactic civilization, unassailable in our technological and cultural superiority. The humans have shown us how dangerously misguided that belief was." He gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life above the assembly. It showed the trickster in all its revealed glory, alongside schematics of technologies that left many in the audience gasping in awe and disbelief. "This," Zixtor said, indicating the display, "is but a fraction of what humanity is capable of." Their trickster was not a warship, but a scout vessel, a test platform for experimental technologies. The assembly erupted once more, voices raised in fear, anger, and disbelief. The Archspeaker called for order again, and Zixtor waited for the noise to subside before continuing. "I have spoken at length with Captain Chen of the human spaceship Trickster. She has shared with me a vision of a galaxy united not by conquest or subjugation, but by mutual respect and cooperation. The humans do not seek to replace the Confederation, but to join it, to help us grow beyond our self-imposed limitations. As Zixtor spoke, the holographic display changed, showing images of human achievements, vast cities that coexisted harmoniously with nature, ships that sailed between the stars as easily as fish swam in the sea, and wonders of science that bordered on the miraculous. "We stand at a crossroads," Zixtor declared, his voice ringing with conviction. "We can choose to view humanity as a threat, to rally our forces and wage a war that I assure you we cannot win. Or we can choose to embrace this opportunity, to learn from these newcomers and grow alongside them." He paused, letting his words sink in. The humans have extended an invitation. They wish to host a delegation from the Confederation on their homeworld, Earth. I have seen the report from the advance team we sent. Colleagues, Earth is extraordinary. A jewel of a world, teeming with a biodiversity that rivals our most verdant garden planets. And the humans, they are as varied in thought and culture as they are united in their drive to explore and understand the universe. The assembly had grown quiet, hanging on Zixtor's every word. He could see the shift in their expressions, fear and anger giving way to curiosity and cautious hope. "I propose," Zixtor said, drawing himself up to his full height, "that we accept their invitation, that we send not just diplomats, but scientists, artists, and philosophers. Let us approach humanity not as conquerors or the conquered, but as equals eager to learn from one another." He spread his arms wide, addressing the entire assembly. "The galaxy as we knew it has changed. The question now is, will we change with it? Will we seize this unprecedented opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become more than we ever dreamed possible? The choice, honored colleagues, is ours." As Zixtor finished speaking, a moment of profound silence fell over the assembly. Then, slowly at first, but with growing enthusiasm, applause began to ripple through the chamber. It built to a crescendo, 1,000 diverse species united in a singular moment of hope and anticipation for the future. In that moment, as the applause washed over him, Zixtor realized that the greatest adventure in the history of the Galactic Confederation was just beginning. The journey ahead would not be easy, but with humanity at their side, the possibilities were endless.